Hello everybody, welcome to yet another video. So today I am doing a anime review on a movie. Just finished watching it. I've had to watch this movie on and off over the past day. I started it yesterday, went back today, and I've finally completed it and finished it. So the movie I'm talking about, as you can see by the title page, I'm talking about A Silent Voice. This is a very, very beautifully done movie. It is quite a hard-hitting movie, really. It really is. It kind of goes down the tendency of considering suicide. So there is suicidal themes in this, but at the same time, it is also about kind of learning from your mistakes and facing your demons head on. It's got a couple of different themes within it, and it follows mainly two kids. They are the two focal point, a boy and a girl. But it also kind of, in that, it's also his classmates. There's a few of his classmates, the young boy's classmates, that are also a good part of this. But for the most part, this movie follows a young lad, a young kid, a Japanese school student called Shoya Ishida. And this kid, you're kind of introduced to this kid with him in elementary school, so he's only a young kid. He doesn't quite understand what he is doing. He's a bit of a... he's one of these kids where he's a bit of an attention seeker, and he's, a bit of a bully as well. I won't say a bit of a bully, he's very much a bully. And him and a few friends that he knew back then also were just as bad. They also teased other kids and bullied other kids. But Shoya was very much the guy, the main guy in this group of little kids. But then it kind of goes between him as in elementary school and him now in high school. So it's kind of like, it kind of jumps a little bit throughout the movie between him as a kid and him now in the present. And when you see him, well, basically when you see Shoya, he is, for the very first time, like I said, he's an elementary school student, and he's a completely different kid. And when he becomes a bit older, he starts to think about what he did when he was younger. When you see him like more now, like him in his more future self, basically in high school, he starts to kind of repent. He starts to kind of start repenting for his sins, so to speak, or how he used to act. And in the back of his mind, he thinks about ending his life because he thinks he caused a lot of harm, and I think he feels that he caused a lot of basically all of his classmates kind of don't want to know him because of the person who he used to be. And the main reason why people don't really want to know him is because he used to bully a young girl who is also the girl. She's also kind of one of the main characters. This movie kind of follows two characters, as most romance type movies do. This is very much kind of one of those movies where it does kind of have romance in there, because they do have feelings for one another, but those feelings don't become as apparent to him being more in high school, when he's thinking back about what he did. And he kind of, at first, before all the romance thing kind of starts to take hold of Shoya, he basically wants to kind of make amends. He wants to kind of apologise. He wants to make amends to this young girl. Now, this young girl, the young girl in this, the reason why the movie is called A Silent Voice is because it follows a young girl who has a disability. There is not many Japanese anime movies out there or animes that feature people with a disability. And this, to me, is, I wouldn't say it's new ground, but it's it's not as common to see anime or characters in an animated movie with some sort of a disability. And I was drawn to this because I've got the two first volumes to this, the manga volumes. I need to get the rest, to be honest with you. But what I've read of this, this is really well adapted compared to the manga, to the animated, the movie on the big screen, so to speak. Beautifully translated. But what I've read of this before seeing this movie, it was beautifully well done. The art in the manga was beautiful from what I saw of it, and the story pretty much was well adapted. It was pretty much the same, even though there was a few frames in the movie version that was just a little bit different. So it follows a young girl as well. She is a new student when he's in elementary school, Shoya, and he's in elementary school. This young girl comes into the class called Shoyo Nishimiya, I believe it is. So this young girl, she's deaf, so she can't hear, and the way that when she first introduces herself, she can't hear what the teacher's saying, so she doesn't know when her cue was to kind of introduce herself to the class. This was kind of a surprise to all the class. They've never really had to deal with possibly a deaf or a disabled person before. And plus with them being kids, it's something different, so it leads to this young girl being teased and bullied by Shoya and his friends. So it kind of becomes one of these things. But this young girl, she starts to kind of develop. She wants to basically make friends, and she doesn't really know how to do that because she can't emote properly. So the way that she communicates is through a notepad that she always has with her, and she says, "Please write in this notepad if you wish to talk to me, because I can't understand." The school starts to initiate sign language and things like this. So this movie incorporates sign language as well. I've no idea if it's accurate or not. I don't understand how sign language works. I've never done it before. But this is interesting that it does incorporate sign language a little bit. That basically is it. That's basically the beginning portion of the movie. But then when we start to go through the movie, start getting into the middle, and then we start to see Shoya Ishida, the young guy who is now essentially a social reject at high school because of who he used to be. And he starts to then wondering in the back of his mind about these mistakes that he's done, and it kind of makes him feel... he's not the same kid he used to be. He's now a lot more grounded, but he is a little bit more of to himself. He's not as confident in himself anymore as he used to be. Very confident. He was very different at elementary school, but you see him at high school as a very, very unable to really talk to many people. He doesn't really have any friends because he's literally... What I love about this film is as well that it kind of touches upon alienation from other people, and he basically alienates himself, but they also alienate him from being a part of their groups and such. So he's alienating himself, and everyone else is alienating him because of who he used to be. But he's looking at everyone else, and all he can see in his mind is these big X's where their faces are. because he finds it difficult to look people in the eye, and he has issues with all that kind of thing. So he's developed a lot of mental issues over time, with him thinking about what he used to do, and thinking about how people are treating him at high school. And so he kind of puts a brave face on it a little bit, but even though he is really hurt inside. And I think he lives either with his big sister. I think it's either his big sister or if it's his mum. I can't remember who she is. I'm pretty sure when I was watching it, I saw something that it was his big sister. So she has this hair salon, so he lives upstairs in this hair salon. The only thing that Shoya has is his family, basically, to keep him kind of grounded. But his mom, I think, finds a note that could have been possibly a suicide note or something that he was writing and he'd put in an envelope. His mom had found it cleaning his room. His sister, his sister had found it cleaning up his room, and she kind of starts to worry about him. And then you really start to see the seriousness of the situation, that he is contemplating suicide. But then when he actually finds or discovers at his high school, he sees this young girl, the deaf girl again, now a really beautiful young woman. But he kind of sees this in himself. He feels that he has to talk to her and apologise. So he starts to try to talk to her and open up about what he used to do. So along the way, he starts to kind of open up about things, and he starts to make more friends because of this. So he starts to make friends, but also his older friends. So he makes a few new friends, but then the old friends that he used to know back in elementary school, he starts to kind of talk to them again. So basically, this disabled girl really helps him to come out of his shell a little bit more. By the end of the movie, he is essentially, he doesn't see X's anymore where faces used to be. He actually he feels a lot like a breath of fresh air. He feels that he can be the person that he was meant to be, and not be someone that is really contemplating to end their life. But there is this really, really tender moment at the end of the movie where Shoei ends up in a coma because the young girl, he goes back to her apartment because her little sister wanted her camera. So he goes back to their apartment knowing that she was there, and then he sees the girl standing on her a balcony, and he realises what's going on, and she was literally about to jump off and kill herself. Nobody really understood that she also had suicidal intentions as well. And so this kind of really started to kind of kickstart his brain, and he goes to kind of try and save her. He does end up saving her in the end, but in doing so, Shoya ends up falling off the balcony himself and into a little body of water, like a little river. He ends up in a coma, and this causes a bit of a renaissance a little bit with his friends. So they all start to rally round Shoya. And it's kind of, by the end of the movie, they've all kind of accepted him again, and everyone see him as a person, not as who he used to be back in elementary school. And it's just such a beautiful, beautiful movie. It really is. I mean, it's actually it's a very powerful movie indeed. Very powerful. I mean, I've seen some beautiful examples. I'm a big fan of Studio Ghibli, and I'm a big fan of Your Name and all that stuff that came out, and Wolf Children, all those kind of movies that really really have a powerful, powerful connection with the story it's trying to tell, or the stories they're trying to tell, sorry. And it's just a beautiful movie. The animation by Kyoto Animation is just incredible. The animation is just beyond incredible. It's just the animation, the backgrounds, and the writing behind this as well was just absolutely top notch. I might watch this in Japanese as well. I watched it in English dub, but I will say the English dub for this was actually fairly decent as well. But I am thinking of maybe watching this for a second time, but Japanese English subtitle, just to kind of get a perspective from both sides. From what I've seen of it in English dubbed, it is absolutely incredible. So if you've got Netflix, if you have dabbled into Studio Ghibli and things like that, then I would recommend this. So thank you for watching. See you very soon. Bye bye for now. Bye bye.